Beauties, rubber beauties, they're true to themselves. Rubber beauties, they're true. It's true. Rubber beauties, they're true to themselves.
The Rubber Beauties podcast is brought to you by the Rubber Boots podcast. Here, financial guru James Duffy explains the difference between net costs and golf net costs. The Rubber Boots podcast, available wherever you find your podcasts.
Very nice.
Well done. Are we rolling? Was that the beginning?
That comes right out of the theme.
Wow, that's Lester McLean doing our ad reads right now. That's Lester, Puffy, and Stoff. If you're only listening to the Rubber Beauties podcast and not the Rubber Boots podcast, please check us out. As the promo says, there's all sorts of wacky and wild things going on that Rubber Boots podcast. There was a change up this week on Beauties. We've been mostly telling funny stories, and it's kind of like the book that way, where I would say probably 60 to 70% is crazy funny stories in the book, and maybe 30-40% is a little more serious. And this was one about Ray Emery and his comeback from hockey. And the reason I wanted to write that story in the book is because when I was in Ottawa, I covered Emery when he was with the Senators, and always liked the guy. Always thought he was good to deal with. And it bothered me that all anybody knew of Ray was, a troublesome past and the fact that the way he died. And the comeback story, which was, I think, people wrote about it and such, but I don't think it got the play it deserved. And as you hear in the piece, it is one of the most incredible comeback stories, I think, in hockey history.
Are we supposed to? I'm not sure. I thought, were you? Okay, I wanted to say something, but then I thought Stop was going to run something, so I'm not sure. So,
you guys are.
Roll tape.
The Beauties pod is where I talk. The Rubber Beauties pod is where all of us talk.
Okay, well, listen. If I could start then. Listen, I did not. I knew he had what he did was incredible, but I didn't know to what extent and how great the odds against him coming back were. To have him not only come back, but to thrive and to have that season with Chicago where he's 17-1 and shares the Vezina with was it the Vezina or the Jennings? The Jennings with Crawford, and then get this Stanley Cup is one and only Stanley Cup is truly incredible. And I have to tell you, James. I mean, I'm sure we'll reference this later on, but I felt somewhat close to Ray because we worked together on the piece, the fashion plate piece that we did way back in 2007 in his second season, and getting to know him getting to know of him rather. He was something else. And, you say a lot about Ray. And, the one thing I remember as well is that night in Buffalo, poor Marty Baron, and he is squaring off. And then Peter's coming in and Ray's just laughing this thing off and having the time of his life. And I'm thinking, Ray, you're going to get killed. What are you doing? But he was that kind of guy, right?
Well, you heard Mike Prebeg say in the piece that he felt that he enjoyed pain, that's where, for whatever reason, Ray could either tolerate it or it gave him some sort of adrenaline or sensation. And that fight's probably a perfect example of it. He was not scared remotely about getting punched in the head.
Either was our buddy Marty. Marty said he loved it. He had a great time doing that too. And he said he had no idea how good a fighter Emery was before they went at it. But he quickly found out that he knew what he was doing.
I wonder go ahead.
No, I've never. It's one thing I've met Marty a couple of times in the building, trade center and whatnot. I've wanted to ask him about that for years, and I just never had the guts to, because from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, he just got beat down. But I mean, for you to say, Puppy, that he enjoyed himself, hey, great, glad to hear that.
Oh yeah, he was more than game.
Marty's one of the best. Lester mentioned the fashionista piece that we did. So when I was covering. Well, I guess I was with TSN, obviously, at this point in time, but I had a bit of a relationship with Ray. And he loved the suits. I think he was one of the first guys that really wore the bold suits. I think it's pretty common now. In fact, guys have gone beyond that in the National Hockey League. But back when Ray was doing it, hockey was pretty conservative. Everybody wore your typical suits, and Ray started wearing the baby blues and the pinstripes with the hats. And he really wanted us to do this story. And I showed up at his house in Ottawa, and he sort of took me through his closet and modeled all these things. And Lester put together a Ray Emery song that Soft's going to play a bit of right now.
Goaltender, Zoolander, a backstopper for the Sands. Looking sharp, they call me the Razor. I'm GQ like Mercedes-Benz. Only been in the league for a little while, but I made my mark with my Santa style. I showed them this season what was up, and now I'm chasing the cup. Y'all know that you're feeling me. Y'all know that you like what you see. Looking crisp on and off of the ice is my fate. 11 out of 10 is how I rate. Oh, I'm a fashion blade. You know that I'm money. I'm a fashion blade. Rico Swami ain't got nothing on me. Hey, I'm a fashion blade. I'm too sexy for myself. Yeah, I'm a fashion blade.
One of Lester McLean's more underrated tunes, I might say.
I love that song. I'll be honest with you. I think it's great.
And I think that one, sometimes I take credit for writing the lyrics and you doing the tune, but I remember writing half Goaltender, half Zoolander, I think, but I think you wrote the rest of the thing yourself.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think that's all you gave me is Goaltender.
Yeah, I gave you two. Here, Lester. Here's two lyrics. Make it sound.
But funny enough, I actually just recently, not around that time, I just seen the film with oh my God, why am I? Ben.
Zoolander.
Stiller.
Yeah, Zoolander, yeah. Ben Stiller. Thank you. You. Remember Stiller's name. Yeah.
Anyway, so you look at a complicated guy, Ray, who had some demons and made some mistakes, but I felt like people needed to know more about what an incredible comeback that was and how much he risked to do it. And Matty Nickel, I will say, Matt Nickel and Mike Prebag, both those guys I know personally because they've worked on my body. They work only on elite athletes.
Yeah, they're big on that flag football circuit.
Yeah. So Matt trains me occasionally. Like every couple of years, I'll go into him. He'll give me a whole new program, and then I'll just go do it for 2 years. In fact, I'm the worst guy. Are you guys ever the guys working out where you get one program from somebody and then you do it for like 10 years without changing it?
100%.
Well, exactly.
So I went to Matty's gym, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago. And I had some neck problems and he gave me a workout and stuff to work on my neck. And I still do the same thing. And he'll say, Jimmy, you're probably due for an update on that. Guys do different workouts every day. You don't do the same one. But
your neck looks great, Jimmy.
Thank you. And Mike Prebag is a chiro who does all sorts of cool stuff. He will. One of the things that he does, and he was the first guy I saw do this, I'm sure there's others, he does the electroacupuncture, where they stick the needles into you and then they hook it up to some machine so it pulsates, and it's your whole body's like going, sorry, this is more of a visual for people listening, but it's a very cool thing. It makes you feel, he's fixed me many a time, so it was great to have those two guys in the story. But yeah, Ray Emery was... a heck of one detail I wanted to put in there that I labored with and then left out in the book, but I'll share with you guys just because I didn't. The only other person that had the surgery before Ray at Duke University, the only other hockey player, had committed suicide afterwards, and they believed that the pain that he was going through was too much. Really? And again, I didn't want to leave it in there because, okay, if someone kills himself, obviously maybe there's other issues going on there. But they believe that the pain that he was going through was a major factor in his suicide, which gives you some degree of understanding of the pain that Emery must have been going through after this surgery and during the recovery. But just a fascinating guy. I love the fact that he never said much and was so understated. When he walked out of the gym and just said, Yeah, I signed with Anaheim, bro. See you later. After like 6 months of working together. But Matty, as I say in the story, Matty, there's no athlete I think that Matt has worked with, and he's worked with some of the best players in the National Hockey League and other sports that I think he has more admiration for. And Prebig and Matt both independently said the same thing, that he was the most generous athlete that they had worked with, as far as sending signed jerseys and whatever you need.
That's great.
The nicest guy, and I don't think people saw that from Ray Emery, or that was known about him. So if that didn't come through enough in the podcast, I wanted to share that. Do you have another ad read for me, Lester? Or
I would love to do another ad read if you don't mind. May I stop?
Go right ahead.
Well written, by the way. The Rubber Beauties podcast is brought to you by the Rubber Boots podcast. On the latest episode, James shows how to change $160 into a cool hundo. The Rubber Boots podcast, available wherever you find your podcasts.
I would love feedback from the audience. As I've said numerous times, we're not going to air every episode of every chapter of Beauties as a podcast, but we're going to air a few more before Christmas and then sort of make a decision after that. But Stoff and I have an idea of the stories we want to tell. But if you like the serious ones, like the Ray story, we have more of those. If you like just the funny hockey stories, we'll do more of those. Let us know on the Rubber Boots Pod account on Twitter, and we'll try to bring you more. It's a short edition of Rubber Beauties today, mainly because Buffy and I have to go to the Masters shortly, and we have to do a Masters call today, and we have to record the Rubber Boots podcast. So thanks for listening to Beauties. Tell your friends about it. Give it a rating on the what is it called? The Apple podcast rating. Yes. Mm-hmm. Subscribe and tell your friends, and don't forget to check out the Rubber Boots podcast, about to be taped live.
Rubber Beauties, Rubber Beauties, the truth to themselves. Rubber Beauties, the truth. It's true. Rubber Beauties, Rubber Beauties, the truth to themselves.
Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight?